Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our third season of Counterpoint with myself, Deke Sharon, and Mr. Rob Dietz.
Hello, hello.
It is a pleasure to see you again, sir. And we have an incredible star-studded lineup for you all. But I wanted to just let you know about one thing beforehand. I was just over in Estonia. The song celebration happens in the Baltic states each year. And if anything is going to fill your heart post-COVID about people singing together, this will do it. Every year, they basically have a Coachella of choral music. If Coachella only had one stage, and on that stage, there were over 21,000 people singing together, and then the audience is another 85,000 people spread out. Just to be in the middle of that thing is one of the most electrifying, wonderful experiences. So for anybody who needs like a positive energy jolt, go look that up online. The song celebrations in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania.
Wow.
Yeah.
Coralcella. That's low hanging fruit, I feel like. I don't know why nobody's gone there before. Somebody must have somewhere. But that's awesome, man.
It needs to happen. How you been, Rob? How you been
I've been all right. Yeah, it's been a good month. I had Acapella Academy at the beginning and recovering from that. It's 2 weeks of being awake for 2 weeks straight and then 2 weeks of sleeping, and now I'm back to normal. So that's
good. We're the pendulum has swung. Yeah, excellent. Well, some people who know a lot about not getting any sleep because they've spent a great deal of time on the road.
What a segue. Look at you.
Thank you. I worked on it for weeks. Are the three following individuals, and I will introduce them alphabetically by their first names. How about that? First up, a gentleman who is an idol of mine. I don't think that's going too far for anybody who's in a cappella. This man, as the tippy top voice, that ringing, super high, bell-like, gorgeous sound of the group Take Six, who changed all of our lives with their debut album and have just gone on to infuse the world with harmony. Their amazing a cappella shows, their background harmonies they've done for so many other groups. That lineup, these voices, these people, the one and only Mr. Claude McKnight. Round of applause out there. Who has his own podcast, by the way, so he probably should just take over and run the rest of this. But since he just got back from a huge tour of Europe, we're going to give him a little bit of a break.
We'll take this one. Give him a rest. Give him a rest.
Exactly. Next up is an individual who I've known since the early days of his singing. He was actually on the sing-off in a group called The Exchange with some legendary singers. Then that morphed into a trio, one of the few a cappella trios to go out there and tour the world, called Freedom's Boombox. And then a little group called Straight No Chaser realized they need a new member, and they looked around the world for another IU graduate. But this gentleman's talent was so strong, his experience so great, they broke the mold and they said, "We don't care that you didn't go to Indiana University. Straight No Chaser needs this man.
University Freedom of Delaware is fine. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, fine. Freedom Young. Put your hands together for him.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Somebody who exists on both sides of the mixing board out there on the road. This man I met while he was in college when I was touring with the House Jacks. After he graduated, he started a group called Impact that's still down in LA going strong. But then he got known for being on the other side. He started mixing sound for so many of the great groups out there, including Take Six. In fact, he still goes on the road doing that. And he was mixing sound for the Manhattan Transfer when their legendary bass sadly passed away, got sick and passed away. And they tapped him to be on the other side of the microphone. So not only a touring legend with the group Impact, but the man who took the mantle of bass in the Manhattan Transfer for the last several years of their touring and recording. And still out there, one of the most in-demand bass singers that you will find on planet Earth. Put your hands together for Mr. Trist Curlis. Yes. Okay. It's all gentlemen for the show. Three fantastic gentlemen who have an incredible amount of experience touring. And that's what we wanted this show to be all about. Touring, road trips. What's it like? What goes on? What do you need to know? And towards the end of the show, how can we help your group get out there on the road, locally, domestically, internationally? So shall we start off and just dive in with some of these questions here? All three of you have resumes that are so legendary and online. I don't even know that we need to go into that. People will spend the whole show just talking about who you are. Let's just start talking about your experiences. What does a typical day on the road look like? And maybe we start with you on this one, Freedom, since you have the least amount of jet lag of anyone
At this exact moment.
who's on the road now. But he's actually on the road. I don't
I'm
know
on the road right now.
if you're
So,
watching this, rather not on the podcast, but on my YouTube channel, the video version of it. He's in a dressing room. You can see over his left shoulder a little bit of the little dressing room bar with Straight No Chaser. Yeah, no, it's there. It's the way it needs to be. He just got off a group call about a potential upcoming album, and he's got sound check in about an hour. So we better get to it. Freedom, welcome to Counterpoint.
you.
What's it like?
Thank
What's
you
it like
very
being
much.
on the road?
So,
What's a typical day?
the average day, let's say we arrive at a venue at about, I don't know, 8 a.m. Generally, when we wake up, we're at the venue. And
Oh, let me
then,
pause you there. So you're talking
yes.
about waking up and rolling out of what are you in?
So
What's
we're in a tour bus. So we have two tour buses. There's a crew of 15 that we roll with the guys, and then of course sound engineer and stage manager, all that.
great.
But so generally
And
we drive overnight. Oh, go
it's a
ahead.
sleeper bus, right?
It
This
is a
isn't the
sleeper
Partridge
bus.
Family bus. You're not like on a
No,
school bus
no.
with sleeping in
Right.
your kneecaps. Okay,
Yes.
I want the world to know.
Absolutely.
SNC does it
Thank
straight.
you.
So
Thank you. This is
you're
great.
you're sleeping in your own little berth, just like
Yeah, it's like a comfortable coffin.
There you go. That's
So yeah, they're actually very comfortable, especially like given, everyone kind of asks, you ride on a tour bus and you sleep on there, and I tell everybody it's actually more comfortable than you think for one person.
That means you're a young man.
well said, Claude.
So yeah, generally we're at the venue as soon as we wake up. We might go for a coffee or something, find a local coffee shop in the area that we're at, and then we'll check out the venue. Kind of, it's a race to get to the good dressing rooms. If there's like a good dressing room, the early bird gets the worm, and then the rest of us we might take a choral room or whatever. On this tour in particular, if we find one of the smaller rooms, we'll set up to record because we're in the middle of recording an album. After that, we have lunch, we have catering, and that can range from awesome to needs improvement. And then after that, we do sound check at about maybe sometime between 4:30 and 5:30, prep for the show, eat dinner. We do like a circle up. We do like a little okay, things we need to check on before we go to the show, whether it's musically or choreography wise. And then we usually hop on stage around between 7 and 8 p.m. We do the show, intermission, blah, blah, blah. Everything lasts for about 2 hours. Afterwards, we do a signing line. And then after the signing line, we'll have some pizza, which it's like, I don't know how many slices of pizza I've had on this store. A lot. And then after that, we'll hop on the bus, and we generally get on the road around midnight. And, you go to sleep when you want. And then the next day you wake up at the next venue.
You wake up pizza. I do distinctly recall that in the Straight No Chaser Sound Rider, there is also a bottle of Crown Royal. Is that still?
It's not Crown Royal anymore. It's
No.
Woodford.
Oh, good
Woodford.
choice.
I
Reserve.
respect the Woodford
Good
plus
choice.
Yes.
tariffs. We got to be reasonable as Americans, because the price of that crown is
This
probably
tour is now $100,000.
Exactly. That was well laid out. I really appreciate that, Freedom. Giving people a picture of what the typical day is. And you're going to go on. I mean, we know October to New Year's Day, Straight No Chasers on the road, 7 days out of 7. You're like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
This summer too is tightly packed. Also, right? You're
This
looking
summer,
at,
yeah, this summer is definitely, I would say in the last 3 years, this is our most extensive summer tour. So
Okay.
it's about 30 shows. And the summer's a little we have a couple 5-day weeks, which is incredible,
Yeah.
I know. It's that's nice. But we did have, we had a pretty heavy week. We had an 8-show week, 7, I think it was 7 straight. And then we had a day off, and then we had 6 straight or something like that.
Sure.
But generally, we enjoy it. We love the gig, the job, I
course.
think.
That's great.
Yeah, I can't complain, you know?
That's great. So let me bounce it over to you, Claude. You were talking about those sleeper buses, which are luxury for someone as young and versatile as Freedom. But you're saying maybe there's a different way to go about touring now. And you guys are hopping all over the place. So it's more airplanes for you. Is that the Take Six vibe
Yeah,
now?
we do a lot more airplane tours. Now, don't get me wrong. Bus tours can be really cool, especially, yeah, let me back up. Bus tours are cool because the preparation that it takes to get up early in the morning, to get to an airport, to go through all the security and all of
Mm,
that,
mm,
to be pressurized in a can, to
hmm.
get off of that, blah, 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 can be really a hard thing on your bodies.
Hmm.
So being on a tour bus where you actually get to sleep,
Yes.
laying down can be a very cool thing. We do a little bit of both. In fact, this tour we just came off of in Europe, we did 10 dates, and of those 10, the travel was probably 7 days on a bus and just a couple of days flying. So that was really good. And as an a cappella group, our voices, it's our bodies,
Yes.
So the more rest you can actually get, I'm not talking about sitting in an airplane seat,
No.
the more rest you can get, the better. Yeah.
And it's so dehydrating in the air too. I find
Yes,
myself like really, especially the big international
absolutely.
flights, you come off them and you're just like this. Yeah,
Hmm.
you feel like you just shot a Western. Yeah, I hear you. And people don't realize like if you are going to be doing every single day in a different city, those are 5 a.m. lobby calls to get to the airport for the hour or
If
two in
yeah,
advance.
if that.
If that,
Yeah,
if
we
you're
had a
lucky. Yeah.
couple 4 o'clock. We had a 3:45 a.m.
Mm,
where we had to take two
ouch.
flights and then sound check and then the show that night. So that can be really tough.
That is, and it really it does drain your body. And like you said, the
Hmm.
your body is your instrument.
And again,
Yeah.
we're not young like Freedom. I mean, come on. I mean,
Here's my question. My question: how many airline miles have you accrued?
okay.
What status do you have at
All
this
right.
juncture?
So I'll just tell you two airlines,
Okay.
American and Delta. We both have over 2 million on both of those airlines.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got 2 million just on United.
Mhm.
I'm no Take Six member, and I consider that a feat. But to be over 4 million miles on
On just
just
the
two
two
different
airlines.
airlines, and that doesn't include they don't count it when you have like a connection onto SAS Airlines or
Right.
or
Right.
Lufthansa or
Yeah.
whatever.
Hmm.
So you definitely have probably flown closer to 6 million total, sometimes at
Yeah, I'm
least
sure.
five.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
They give you
back
the
and
golden
forth to
pitch
the
pipe.
moon. That's back and forth to the moon at least 15 times, something like
At
that.
least, of
Yeah,
course.
My
that's
mind
absolutely
is
crazy.
blown right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, Trist. So you have toured as a member of Impact, starting it right out of college, and then you got on the Manhattan Transfer bus, train, plane, whatever form of transportation you want, and did that from the sound side, and then on the performer side, like talk a little bit about that. What's it like on both sides of the
Well, my friends call me the truth police, and this is I just have to correct one little thing, Deke. So I never
yes,
ran sound for the Manhattan Transfer. One of the
no,
only groups I don't think I've ever run sound for. No, I was with Straight No Chaser on tour.
completely. I know that and
I
Take
was
Six.
so that's when I got the call. Hey, can you sub for the Manhattan Transfer? And I'm just like, wait,
Aha.
those words don't even make sense. Like that can't be a real thing that they want me to do. So actually, I had to tell the Straight No Chaser guys, hey, I might not be able to do gigs next month, and they were kind of getting a little surly about it. I said, yeah, because I have to sing with the Manhattan Transfer. They're like, oh my god, you have to go do that. So um
I got that
that was
rolling.
the
Okay.
transition was I that's
That's
when I filled in.
that's a big
um
jump. And then you guys did all those concerts with Take Six also. So wow.
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
having shows. Yeah, I was barely used to the fact that I was in the group, and then we had the same manager, and he lays on me, "Oh, I'm working on a concert with Take Six." I'm like, died and gone to heaven for sure. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is dreams, dreams, dreams. So very, very, very cool thing. Regarding the travel difference, yeah, of course. In Impact, we owned our own van. We owned a
Yep.
van and a trailer,
Yep.
and we had sound equipment in the van and merch in the van. Back when we would double or triple our gig income just from selling CDs at state fairs, etc.
Yep.
But we had our own vehicle. We just had the five of us, and then eventually a sound engineer too. So there'd be six max in a Econoline van with a little pop top, where we would watch a Take Six concert that I had on VHS that we wore out and watched constantly, and other music and stuff. So yeah, the difference from that to then, what these guys said, the bus tour thing, man, that was like, heck yeah. Like, wait, I get to sleep. I don't have to get up to make it to an airport, etc. It's like you just wake up, find the closest coffee, and go in. I'd say the main difference there is because I was on tour with them as a sound engineer. All of that fun stuff that Freedom said about, oh, we went and checked out the town and kind of did a little shopping and maybe worked out. Yeah, that's the stuff. As much as I love the bus tour still, that's the main difference. I think when I started mixing with Take Six, I remember Claude asking me, what do I like better? Behind the board or on stage? And really, during the concert, they're fairly comparable. I think I probably like the performing and singing like just a touch more, but not as much as one might consider it, especially in a cappella where it's coming through my fingers and I'm definitely influencing the experience that's happening out here. And I'm such a fan. Like, no, I want you to hear that. Oh no, that baritone descending part is super important. If you don't hear that, you don't hear that the chords are cool, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I'm just as important, I think, there. So I enjoy that. Oh yeah. But outside of doing the concert, like it's, performer all day long, because you're not doing anything when you're not on the stage. Really, there's a few things you might have to record or maybe do an interview, but instead of showing up at 4 for your sound check, you're there at 10 a.m. and that's an easy tour, setting stuff up, and then you're there 2 or 3 hours after it, tearing it all down to go do the next thing. So that's the main difference.
It is a lot of work, and I just want to remind you, Tris, that when you are behind the board, you have much more power than anybody who's in the group. In fact, I'm reminded of the House Jacks when we were touring around for many years in the middle of the 90s and early 2000s. We had a sound guy named Dave Hindy, and one of his first jobs was working at Busch Gardens. And the singers were really like snotty and diva-ish and rude to him. And he was the most mild-mannered, one of those people who's just like so friendly and hi, yeah, and always yes, and always smiles, whatever. But he'd had enough of them. So on the very last show, he just took the vocals, just the singing vocals, not the tracks they were singing to, and put them back into the monitors, pitched up a half step. So I'm just putting it out there to just let you know, singers, be nice to your sound, people.
Yeah, Claude,
anything
be
can
nice.
happen. Yes.
Sorry, Tris. I'm so sorry, man.
Back into your ears a half step up.
Exactly. Yeah. What could go wrong?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you do have. There's a lot. There's this thing when you're running a show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. Name of group. There's this it doesn't matter how long you've done it. Every sound engineer has this millisecond of fear that no sound is going to come out. Like, so as soon as, even if it's bad, like the first thing, as long as I hear the voices, like your whole body goes, okay. Okay. And it doesn't matter how long you've done it. There's just that moment of like, I think everything's going to not work. Okay. It works. Here we go. Yeah. Crazy.
Nice.
Crazy.
Yeah, I believe that. Oh, Stephanie has just joined us, our lovely, wonderful, talented producer, and Rob's wife as well, for the people who are joining us for the first time. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much.
You were on a call. I am glad the call obviously was important and went well. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been delayed to join us.
It was delightfully chatty at precisely the wrong moment, but it did involve music and a cappella. So at least it was on theme, on brand.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you were able to join us. Jump in anytime with questions for these esteemed gentlemen as we start going down the tour. So
I actually did have a question.
Please go. Jump right in.
You're going to regret inviting me to ask a question. I'm so curious what each person's favorite drink is to have on a plane. And if they have that same drink off the plane, or do you have a special plane?
This is your ginger ale theory. Okay.
No, it's not. I actually am curious. I am curious what everybody's favorite drink is on a plane, and if they have that drink off the plane as well. Alcohol, non-alcohol, soda, water, juice, what have you.
Okay, let's go to Freedom first.
My go-to is definitely Minute Maid like a cranberry cocktail, cran
Right.
apple
Yum.
cocktail drink. I never have it outside of the plane though.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much sugar. It's like a treat for me when I take a flight.
It's a little sweet treat. Love it.
Yeah.
Claude?
So I'm going to be the really boring one. These days, all I drink on planes and off of planes is water.
Great.
Why
That's
is
really that's
Good
really
answer. Good answer.
that's the wisdom of experience, you know?
Yes.
Tris?
I would say mostly it is also water, and it just
Okay.
depends. Am I on my way to like something I have to sing at, et cetera? How do I need to feel? But the classification that Stephanie's looking for is definitely true for me. I actually get ginger ale with cranberry, and I almost and I don't. Yeah, I never get that off of the plane, but in the plane, cranberry and ginger ale together.
So why on the plane?
together.
I'm trying to understand what is the plane thing for the both of you.
I don't
Really
know. I never seek it out. Like at home, when I'm off a plane, I really only drink water. Like I really only have water.
Interesting.
But I will also get a water with that cranberry
Yeah,
cocktail.
often same.
Sure.
I think there's something about the options. I don't know. I know it's an option at other places. I can't explain it, but yeah, it's just like, oh, I can get those things. Oh, great.
I've heard that nobody drinks tomato juice except on planes, and it has something to do with like at the altitude, your
That's
taste
right.
buds change.
That's
and
right.
then
right.
The ginger ale too. It's the same thing. Like, is it sweeter in the air or something?
Mm-hmm.
Thing?
But the cranberry juice too.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking earlier, Deke, about how much the altitude. I mean, I think all of you, how the altitude affects your voice and affects the air in massive ways, and it also affects your taste buds too.
The high tenor nodding.
It really does feel like the bus is perhaps better than the plane when it comes to touring and traveling.
Counterpoint brought to you by ginger ale. Ginger ale. Have it on your next flight.
many domestic ginger ales don't even have ginger in it. There's the
I know.
the truth
there a
police,
lawsuit?
which is it's a bummer. Yeah,
I think
So,
with the never mind. We're gonna get way too off topic. Go ahead.
I was just going to throw one little thing
I
in there.
regret asking.
I'm with you on the water thing. I always bring a big water bottle, but I always put a tea bag in it. If it's earlier in the day, I'll put black or green tea, or I'll put a fruit tea in it. Just a tea bag, because talking to my doctors, you get dehydrated really easily, but if there's nothing in the water, it goes through your body really quickly, and it doesn't hang on to it as well. But just even having that cold brew kind of tea just soaking in there, it makes your body retain it for longer. Plus, it has like a nice little flavor thing. So
Yeah,
that's
but what
my,
I'll do is I'll get some of the hydration packets, and that seems to work really well for me. Anything other than water, I mean, as I'm getting older, I'm like, man, I can't handle anything.
Yeah,
Give me water.
I hear you. I do.
I had one Diet Pepsi, and I'm
Guys, I can't go on tonight.
Yeah. Well, all part of the fun. Okay, so
speaking of going on tonight.
yeah, so what's the best part of touring, and what's the worst? Like, what do you love about it, and what do you like? Ugh.
Best part for me is when we get it right on stage. And it's not even about the audience then. It's literally a party for us, where the chords are banging and everybody's feeling like they're at their most powerful superhero angle. It's like we vibe in a way that is almost like the first time we've ever sung. That's the best part.
That's amazing.
The worst part is honestly when one or more of us can't hear properly, because then that becomes this war of attrition on stage where it's like, we're trying to get there. And you know that somebody's struggling, and it may not be the engineer's fault, because I don't want to ever blame anybody, but it just might be you're having a rough night.
Sure.
And
I
because
want to blame the audio engineer, Tris.
it's one of those things. Really, I mean, think about it. Especially with a cappella, you're a spoke in a wheel. Nobody is more important than anybody else. Everything has to work together. So if a spoke is broken or something, that whole wheel is like, and so that can be a tough night. So I think that's the worst part.
What do you do when that happens? I'm always kind of curious people's different strategies for dealing with that. So let's say you have a night where it's not clicking, there's something like that. Like, you go into damage control mode? Like, how do you manage it?
That's a great question.
Yeah, Take Six just starts singing 3-part harmony. They're just doing In the Still of the Night over and over.
Off mic, it's all off mic for the rest
It's never happened in history, but that's their fallback.
We've had a couple of shows in the almost 40 years of being together where someone's really struggling. I'll give you an example. Wow. We were in Russia and Alvin was sick on stage. I mean, sick to the point where he was having to leave like every other song to puke on the side of the stage in a bucket.
Ooh.
No good.
And we just kept the show going, because we had to.
Yeah.
And it ended up working out well. And I do not know how he would come back on stage and sing. I would have been so messed up, especially singing the high part. Once something happens to my throat, I'm done.
Yeah, all the acid and everything.
So we've had times, and I think what ends up happening is because we're so close and we know each other really well, we just lift each other up. Whatever that means. That might sound cliche, but we lift each other up. Hey, you're having a bad night. I'll hit this note here. You do this, you do that. And we figure it out on the fly.
That's beautiful.
I feel like when you're in a group that way, that's you can feel that, and other things take over, other things make up. Joey gets a little more preachy. Like he's out there telling the stories a little bit more than usual, which he already is an incredible person at that. Mm-hmm. So, or whatever anecdotes are happening, or whatever other little thing, or for them, if it's the tune that they go to where they play some instruments, they focus
or just
on
an audible. We'll take a song out. It's like we can't do this, and it's usually me because if I'm singing on top, and if I'm having a bad night, everyone will know it. If somebody in the middle is having a bad night, usually their range is, it might be an octave here or there, but they can still do whatever. If I'm not hitting the high notes, you're going to hear it. And I'll be like, fellas, we're not going to do this, this, and this.
Although, truth be told, the first time I ever saw you guys perform was back when I was in college, I think 1990. So it was, one of the earlier days. And I recall asking you or talking to you afterwards, and you had a cold. And so a few of those high notes weren't there, but nobody knew because you would just, move down one chord factor, whatever. And like, I had the album memorized. So I'm like,
he didn't do that.
And yeah. But you were just like, yeah, no, I'm really under the weather. So I can't sing the high C above operatic sopranos, high C. I sang the G. I moved it down a little.
I know I'm monopolizing the interview right now, but I have to tell you something. Years ago, I actually had laryngitis. And during that point of like 3 weeks where I had laryngitis, we had 2 gigs. One of them was just 2 songs that we had to do on a program. And the other one was like a truncated gig as well. Mm-hmm. The one gig, I didn't sing at all. Mm-hmm. Dave sang my parts and I pretended like I was on stage singing.
I've done that in college. I did that for an entire show.
I had nothing. And it was so weird to have to do that, but we had to do the gig.
Yeah. And nobody could tell. It's take 5 plus.
So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus amazing. A mime.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And Marcel.
Some dude doing way too much. Yeah.
No, I was just saying that's showbiz. You just
that's showbiz.
Figure it out.
How about for you? What do you love the most about touring? What's the most challenging for you?
I mean, the most about touring is definitely, seeing the world, getting to these other places, even in the aforementioned, when I'm, a crew person, I don't get to see as much of different cities, but you still figure it out. And there are off days, places that I frankly never would have probably visited, that I never would have seen if it wasn't for being involved in music, being on a tour, singing or mixing. And so learning about other cultures, making the world smaller a little bit. I think that's probably my favorite thing. And the worst is really the travel. The cliche is kind of like we do the concerts for free. You pay us the money to get there.
I agree 1,000%. I say that all of the time to people. Yeah. Yes, 100%. Yeah, I think that's very much. It does
help when you're a 2 million miler on certain airlines. You get to, but I joke about that. But I don't have that many miles. But I've for years actually when mixing pentatonics, I mixed them for a year, and they were all American all the time. I had no real miles with them before I mix them. And in 1 year, I got up to like the highest status that they have. So I just stayed there. And it's that the little extra, like, oh, this line's a little shorter. I get aboard a little sooner. I get more bags. I get a nicer seat. It just, all those little things do make it easier. Oh, going across the water, I get a seat that lays totally flat. That's a game changer.
Do not underestimate that.
That is a complete game changer.
Absolutely.
And it is pretty new. I mean, a business class, first class back in the day when it was just like a bit of a wider seat and you tip back a little bit more, it was better. But when they put those lie flat business seats in and you could sleep on the plane and wake up somewhere, because you roll out of that plane and you go straight to sound check or whatever. That changes lives.
Yeah. So that helps. But still, the being there is great, going to the other, but then oh wow, like again, like Claude said, wow, the lobby call is in like 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in Italy, that after show meal doesn't start till 1.
Right.
Well, the concert started an hour and a half late, so let's start there, right? And then, yes, exactly.
Which again is also the thing that I love, learning all the different customs, like. And you have to adjust because you're in Spain, you're in Italy. It's like, oh, everything starts at 9:30 or 10,
sure,
and then you're in Amsterdam, and it's like this starts at 9.
Dude, I had a show with the House Jacks, and I saw the secondhand sweep right past 8 p.m. and 0 seconds. And then just as it went past, we heard boom, 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 and like, konbanwa, ladies and gentlemen, the House Jacks. By 8 o'clock and 10 seconds. And then there was applause. And it was our first concert there. I looked back and forth, and like a couple of guys still getting their shirt on. And I just took off running. And I like slid onto the stage after the applause had died. And people applauded again. And I realized, I learned from then on, an 8 o'clock show in Japan starts at 8 o'clock, right? And like you said, the previous tour in Italy, like, you're lucky if it happens at 8:15.
Like,
so yes.
Our favorite from Japan with Impact was a guy would come in about every half hour to tell us how late or early we were. So 4 hours before the show, the show currently 8:02. Okay. And a half hour later, tonight's show 8 o'clock. Half hour later, tonight's show 8:03. Like he would give us an update as to how,
like a weather forecast.
Totally
crazy.
Yes. Wow. Okay, Freedom, you've been all around the world with multiple groups. What's the love? What's the hate?
So I think there's two parts of tour that I really love. It's when you're on stage, and it's kind of like taking off of what Claude was saying, where you're just kind of like in the zone, and like the audience is just giving you the energy. Like you never kind of know how an audience is going to receive you around the world. You know what I mean? Yep. But when you're on tour and it's like people you've never performed for before, we are always very authentic to what our brand is. And then when you see that work and the audience is singing along or on their feet clapping, and they're doing whatever we tell them to do or whatever, like there's like an electricity in that building that in any other aspect of my life I've never felt, when I'm on stage. And also going to places and having amazing food. Like the food I've had my mind blown on some of these tours, like in places that I never thought I would go to. Like some of the best food I've ever had is in Georgia, the country. Like incredible. I'm glad we were only there for 1 week, because I would have for sure gained like so much weight. Incredible food. Like the desserts I have a sweet tooth. I'll try any dessert. I'll try anything. And just, getting those experiences with different people and different cultures around the world. That's like the best part of the tour.
That's amazing.
And the worst part, I think, I'm as my family is growing, like, is being away from my family. That's like, I love what I do. I love performing. I love the show. I love the guys. I love the situation. But yeah, I miss my family a lot on the road. You know
that's
what I mean?
Mine too.
That's by far for me, like the toughest thing. Doesn't matter if I'm sick or what, like, we all get sick on the road, but man, talking. I'm thankful that there's FaceTime. You know what I mean? So at least, I get to see
it's
the
so much
family.
better now. And Claude, I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
know you remember the days before you could have like unlimited digital calling and all this kind of stuff when you'd like get to a hotel and you try to call home and you can't get an outside line, or you'd plug your computer into the phone jack and try to make the modem work. And those were rough years,
You
right?
attach the letter to the pigeon's leg, but the pigeon doesn't go to the right place.
Yeah, we've been touring so long that I remember when Skype first came out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And Alvin was in one room and Dave was in the other room. And they were like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" That's literally what they were saying. And they're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. But even the fact that it could happen, because I remember being on tour and it was like $4 a minute to call home.
Oh.
Yeah. And so you're like, "Hi, how's it going? Okay, great. How are the kids? Fantastic. Okay, great. So this is what it is. I'll be home at this time. My flight's this one and it leaves this time. And I love you. Bye." 59 seconds or whatever, because it adds up. And now I'm going to be honest, and this isn't like an ad for whatever, but if you travel a lot internationally, the highest level of Verizon is unlimited international calling. So I'll call home and like talk to Heidi and just like, we'll like chat for 2.5 hours, 9 time zones away. And then just like leave the phone on as we both fall asleep for 8 hours. They're losing so much money on us, but it's free. So that's my indulgence. That's my,
Well, now they know.
now they know. Yes.
And Verizon, if you're listening and you want to sponsor Counterpoint Podcast, that's Counterpoint Podcast.
They want nothing to do with me. I'm destroying their bottom line.
Really.
I
But
forget exactly who it was. Someone in the transfer I remember used to have an anecdote about like a bass player on tour. Again, talking about back in the day. So sometime probably in the late 70s, there was I think it was a bass player, one of the bass players, who basically spent the entire gig check just on his calls back home. Like all of his touring, he spent that same amount of money that he made just to call home.
Wow. Yeah, it's much better and easier.
Way different now.
So, Freedom, let's go back to the thing you were talking about when you were in Georgia. I distinctly remember the exchange, and then I think Freedom's Boombox as well. You guys got linked up with the United States Department of State, for exchange programs, and they sent you as ambassadors from America overseas to do things. I think this money's dried up for the next 3.5 years, but for the future, when the sun comes out behind the clouds and the money reappears, talk a little bit about that. Like what was that like? How did it work? What were you doing?
I would say those were some of the most fulfilling tours that I'd ever taken. So pretty much they have this program, the U.S. State Department and an organization called American Voices. They teamed up, they partnered up, and they started creating these programs called American Music Abroad and Arts Envoy. And so what these programs were designed to do, there would be auditions every year, and they would select, 10 to 12 groups to go around the world, go to different places that most people in America would never think to go or don't even know exists. And you would go there and have the opportunity to exchange cultures and ideas and collaborate with people all around the world. And actually, like one of the coolest stories was we were in Madagascar, and we worked with these 8 boys, the singing boys of Tana. And they were all pretty much, they had like very poor conditions and whatnot. And we brought them in, and we had this show that was being aired internationally, and it ended up really helping to like propel them into, more opportunities that paid them more, because in that country, literally an 8-hour day would pay you $2 American.
Yeah.
And it really did change their life. And having that ability to have that type of impact during those tours, that was incredible. And you meet people who, people are extremely thankful that you show up in their country and are willing to learn and and try their food, and they just want to be able to communicate with someone who maybe they never have would have the opportunity to communicate with. I love that program. And, I tell people all the time, like, they're ever looking for a way to travel the world and like experience some incredible things, that's something they should look into. It was awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome. Plus, you get to say, when I was in Madagascar, as one does.
As one does.
Exactly. Like, oh, yes. Although I am also remembering a time we were both doing this festival in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Crazy. So,
yes.
I have those nice, I have a friend who, whenever someone drops a name or does something like that, they drop a fork, like at the table. That's their like little, so like, king, king, king. Yeah. Like, a way to remind people. Yeah, exactly.
To spin off of that a little bit, so that's one avenue to kind of get into the touring thing. I think one of the things we want to talk about is just for like folks who are in up and coming groups, folks that are kind of getting more into the touring thing.
Yep.
What are some avenues? And a lot of you guys have been doing this for a long time. When you started this, obviously the landscape was a little different. Things are very tough now, but to the best of what we can kind of get to, what are some strategies for groups that are kind of just starting out to get on the road and build touring and start to develop that for themselves?
From a like branding space,
Yeah,
or
from
like
any space.
Anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say a big thing that I see is that people are afraid of no a lot. And I would say writing and reaching out to a lot of people, like, you're gonna get a lot of no's at the beginning. Like, I mean, when I was in the exchange, we had a guy, Aaron, who would literally just dedicate hours to writing to every festival, like, this dude. When I say ambitious, this guy had that.
Aaron
had
Sperber.
ambition.
Remember?
Yeah, Aaron Sperber. And he would just write like hundreds of emails a day, a lot of no's. But over the course of like 2 months of writing every day to a bunch of places, we were able to set up like a 3-month tour. And now, we didn't get paid a bunch of money for these tours, but it put us in position to go to these places and make a name for ourselves around the world. Outside of that, I mean, from a what would be helpful to help you stand out and have people want to take a shot on you, like authenticity. Just try to make something that people like haven't seen already. Be different, so that when you present yourself to somebody, they're like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And I haven't seen anything like that. Maybe we take a shot on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people try to kind of imitate something that they've seen work for someone else. And maybe that's not what's going to work for you. And so you kind of get stuck because your space that you're trying to fill is already filled.
Can you talk a little bit about that, either with the Exchange or Freedom's Boombox, like what kind of that thought process was of developing that brand?
So the Exchange, our brand idea was, what could we tell people that the show is going to be like without using another group's name? And so our brand was half concert, half house party.
Ooh.
And that is exactly what I would say. If you've ever seen an Exchange show, that's exactly what it was.
Sure.
It was like, sure, we practiced to be musical, but when we got on that stage, we were trying to be like a cannon. We were trying to like propel the audience into a frenzy. You know what I mean? We want your hands up. You know what I'm saying?
I remember your choreo for Runaway Baby, and this might have been with Freedom's Boombox.
Running.
You ran in circles around the stage. Seriously, it was like something between like a hamster treadmill and a concert and a high energy. I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Talk about branding. Halfway between a hamster treadmill.
Well, I mean, it's hard to people when you see Taylor Swift and she's dancing like crazy and you're like, wow, it sounds just like the album. Note, kids, it is the album. You know what I'm saying? But when they were literally singing as they were full bounding, like 6-foot gates, like just launching themselves around the stage, and that takes such like power.
Yeah. I mean, we were in pretty good shape, I will say, like during that, to be able to do that. And I mean, just like knowing that that was our brand and being okay with it. Like wherever we went, we didn't try to like, if we went to another festival, maybe like a festival in Europe where like, I mean, the precision in which they sing with it
Mm-hmm.
over there is just like really a next level. And I think one of the best things that happened for us, one of our first gigs, we opened for the Swingle Singers. And it was like one of those things where we were like, okay, guys, we're not gonna out sing the Swingle Singers. So like, let's not be in like a competitive mindset. Like, let's just go do what we do. Let's go have a great time on the stage. And to be honest, we were received like they were standing on their feet at the end, which I don't think we expected because we had known what normally happens in Europe, like the sound that these groups have. But I think after that show, we were like, okay, so maybe it doesn't matter where we go. We can be good just being authentically ourselves. And that
Mm-hmm.
we really took that around the world and it worked for us, you know? And maybe that wouldn't work for other people. Maybe that
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't work for another group. And as far as
That's
Freedom's Boom, oh, sorry, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say that's who you all were. Like that was such a part of like your energy, and like that was something you could do that other groups couldn't do in that same way.
Right. And so with Freedom's Boombox, we obviously we had to kind of pivot because it was a trio, and like there's the arrangements are a bit more complex when there's only three people singing
Oh
along.
yeah.
And so we weren't going to be jumping around crazy or anything. I think the show became more of like charming, like about being charming and like charismatic without having to like be all over the stage. Funnier banter, like more banter between the three of us on the stage, kind of like maybe like a trio Rat Pack or whatever. We even had like the
Sure.
bow ties and like we put on a crazy shirt, bow ties, and like our music kind of did this thing where we would kind of do a postmodern jukebox thing where we would throw some current
Right.
songs back and we kind of used that and incorporated that in our outfits. So it felt like I haven't seen a vocal group like this before. This
That's
is what
great.
our brand is. And
That's
again,
great.
we made it work for to be as authentic as we could be.
Yeah. Now, Trist, you've seen and worked with so many different groups behind the board. What do you see as working? What do you think, especially seeing like younger groups and then their ability to progress up the ranks? What are your tips for the people who are just starting out, the people who are trying to make this work?
Well, what Freedom's saying is like right on the money, like finding what your thing is and not necessarily sure there might be as you're really getting started, you don't have maybe any arrangements. Oh, there are five of us. Let's sing some music of our favorite groups of five and see if, oh, that sound is kind of us. Now let's take that and make something that's our own, having your own thing. So yeah, the unique identity. I mean, although we're so in the weeds here in terms of like original within being a cappella. If you step back and realize, oh, if you're just doing straight covers and you can actually with X number of people and no instruments, you're already doing something that's original to most people. So
Sure.
that's what I've always been thought is the magic of a cappella groups is like, oh, here's a song but we're not using instruments. So you get the familiar and the original in the same thing. So don't
Right.
forget that that's still cool. I've been a part of a cappella groups so long that I'll be on stage performing in an a cappella group and see audience members literally looking around trying to figure out what's happening. It's like, oh, right. Not everybody still gets this. There's still someone like, oh, that guy's doing the drums with his face,
Totally.
that's still brand new for somebody,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
when we're seeing a cappella groups, we're going to the intricacies of how that drummer does whatever they do. Oh, they must be split into two channels. Oh, he's using an octave. Oh, we're getting into such minutia, and you have to remember there's still people who will come up and ask, "That's really cool, but who does the music?"
Oh yeah.
I remember in Impact, we used to have people tell us what drum machine we were using.
Oh yeah.
They would ask us about who presses the space bar on the playback. It's like,
Yeah.
man, we would be so bad at that. Anyway, so it's really that, yeah, finding out what your thing is, and really playing to that. Just being really good at what you do and being really good people. is helpful. That's kind of a life
Oh,
advice no matter what it is. Like if you can be equal amounts of those things, because if you're really awesome to work with and your product isn't any good, that's not helpful. And if your product is amazing and you're really terrible to work with, that's not great either. So kind of equal amounts of both of those as much as possible. I think it sounds basic, but really, I mean, that's it. And to address the like, how do you, I, often when we would be in, how do you, oh, you just came back from Japan. How do you get a gig in Japan? And it sounds far away. It's like, well, the same way that you get a gig in Des Moines. There's somebody there that has a thing that they want somebody to come do, and somehow they connected with you and you fit the thing that they had. So
Yeah.
your job is make yourself present enough that those people, whether it's through an agent, manager, etc., you know, be available, have good representation of yourself, whether it's from you or someone else. So the being in different parts of the world isn't that much different than playing down the street. Someone has a need for you and you're a thing that fills it. Now it's just trying to marry those two. So
Right. And actually, what you bring up brings up a good question that I want to get to, Claude. And any of you can answer this one. So back in the day, the way bands started to tour was they started to play locally. They played local clubs. And this isn't just a cappella. This is anybody making music, singer-songwriters at a cafe, whatever. They made music live and they learned how to get good at making music live. And then eventually, if they could make enough money or they could get a record label who was interested, then they would figure out how to make recordings. And then recordings got less expensive, so people could start making recordings more, but then the live thing was still a big piece of it. And now, with social media being so important for people to seeing you, these groups are making these 30-second little TikTok things, and that's their brand, that's their group, that's how they're known. And I've seen group after group who start out and they actually don't have that experience performing. And frankly, and they're good friends. Pentatonics, when we put them together for the sing off and then they performed on the sing off, those were 90-second songs. And then I remember their early shows, they just didn't know how to talk to the audience. It was kind of clumsy. They were stunning singers and they're fantastic people and they figured it out. Believe me, they fill stadiums. It's not a problem. But it is an interesting point that the challenges that people face now about touring never used to exist. People used to know, like, well, this is what works live. Now, how do we get that out there and market it? And now it's almost like, I've got this great marketing. We have this well-known brand. Now we just need to figure out how to put together a 2-hour show, because with all this 30-second song bits, we have 13 minutes of music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Claude, talk.
Yeah, so it kind of ends up being the the cart and the horse scenario where they've got all of this, but they haven't been able to do the work to get there. So I was going to kind of piggyback on what Freedom and Tris were saying. So you start out by finding out what is unique about you, what is authentic about you. And then you have to continue honing that. And you should learn how to do that live, because touring isn't a given. I think that these days, especially young kids or whatever, they're like, I can put it online or whatever, I can get some traction and I should be able to tour. It's like, no, touring is a whole different animal. That's learning how to actually be out there in front of people, like you're saying, and talking to them between songs and putting together a show that works, that's cohesive, that's entertaining for somebody who's paying money to watch you do this, as opposed to just watching you on a screen and being able to turn it off if they don't like it. So I think that's something that kids need to understand. You have to learn how to do that, because if you don't, it could be a very rude awakening to where touring won't really be an option for you. So I go all the way back to what Freedom was saying: authentic, 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 authentic. Because you can find something unique about you, and that uniqueness may be something that you hadn't even really paid attention to. As someone else may say, did you know that you all sing this a certain way? Keep doing that. And I'll give you an example, even with Take Six. Early on, we knew we wanted to do close harmony. We all play instruments. I'm a trombone player. That's how I grew up. So our ears were already attuned to doing that kind of stuff. The interesting thing was we didn't like doing close harmony in a way that we had heard everybody else doing it, including the Singers Unlimited and everybody else, where it was just really straightforward. We're not going to use any vibrato, blah, blah, blah. And it was beautiful. but it didn't really suit our voices, and specifically mine, because I'm not a first tenor. So when I decided to sing, I sang the only way I knew how, which was with a certain amount of pathos and vibrato and all this stuff. So it made us unique in a way to where other people weren't singing like that. And so if people can differentiate your group from this other group or whatever, you're already 3 steps ahead, because I think the death knell is when someone hears you and they're like, well, they sound like so-and-so. Or I don't know who that was, once they hear 4 other groups.
Yeah,
Sure.
They should be able to hear. And I say this to young groups all the time when we're doing workshops is to find someone in your group that is so unique that becomes the sound of your group.
Yes.
I think that's so important because once you can do that, then I think you have a fighting chance at touring, or whatever, because now people are like, I love the sound of that group.
Yes.
And find somebody who's an arranger, whether there's an arranger within that group or somebody else outside that gives you what would be considered unique arrangements for your voices. I think that all of that helps. Do all the things.
Yeah.
And
One of the things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say what's so beautiful about that is the human voice is actually able to time travel. Like when you see a King Singer show, they're doing music from like the Renaissance and Gregorian chant and Monteverdi and everything, all the way up through classical choral music, 20th century, 21st century, and then they'll do pop and folk and whatever and jazz. And to do that with instruments, you'd end up having to like get rid of the early instruments gone, orchestra gone, jazz combo gone, big band, and rock in all synthesizers, and there's so much that your voice can do, and also you can jump from different styles, and this is an absolute huge simplicity. But when I'm lecturing groups all the time, I'm like, guys, you can find a style by taking things that you love from different places. So I use Take Six as an example. With your first album, you've got gospel repertoire, you've got jazz harmonies, and you got R&B stylings. These are 3 different things. And when they're put together, the way that you did them early on, and people had never heard anything like that before on planet Earth, and it blew people's minds, right? And then as you developed that sound, then you kept going and it expanded out, and you did more and more, and the nuances and all these different things that you were bringing in. So the other thing that I think you said that was so genius is it's not a destination, it's a journey. This is something that you're constantly doing. You're always finding new sounds. You're always reinventing yourself. You're always like going back to the shed, as they say, and like, okay, what else can I do? What else can we do to make this better, to make this fresh, whatever? And that is an inspiration. And that's why so many groups keep coming to Take Six shows, because every time you go, it's going to be different songs. It's going to be different sounds and all of that.
And use all the things you grew up listening to.
Yeah.
Because everything you listen to comes out in some kind of way, whether or not that's in your singing or your arranging or whatever. We're Earth, Wind, and Fire fans. So you're going to hear that in our vocals. Dave Thomas is a Prince fan. He has Prince in him when he's singing. Yeah. We have gospel quartet stuff. You're going to hear that in Mark's voice and stuff. I asked Mark one day, who did you listen to grow up? He's like, Sam Cooke. I'm like, of course, duh.
Yep.
So all of that stuff comes out. Make that your calling points on how you set your group up, and just take it to the nth degree.
I was just going to say too, like, and pay attention to like the feedback you're getting from people too. I think that one of the casualties of like the DIY like YouTube era is like the disappearance of like A&R and development and artist development, and just like getting, having producers that give people feedback, right? And it's just like that no one wants to spend money on artist development anymore in that way. So it's like, listen to your fans, listen to your friends, your family, people you respect. And like, because sometimes within the group, it's hard to know like what people are going to to you know?
That's
so
where
it's
the live comes in too.
Yeah.
That's where the live performance
and the audience will tell you real quick whether
Completely.
it's good or not. Yeah.
Well, and I was just working with some groups this past weekend in Croatia, and I was telling them, like, you guys are so talented, but you were born on the collegiate a cappella competition circuit. So you have all this like complexity, and you have all this nuance, and your repertoire choices are about like, oh, let's mash 7 songs into this, and let's do 11-part harmony. I said, that's all well and good, but what my prescription for you, if I can write you a prescription today, as soon as we're done with this workshop, go out in the town square and sing. And draw a crowd and figure out what holds that crowd, figure out what grabs people, because you're going to find pretty quickly, sometimes it's simple 3 and 4-part harmony. And how do you pace your sets? How do you pace your songs? How do you grab people and hold their attention. That is your job. And it's a different thing once they've bought tickets to see your concert and sit in theater seats, because they're not going to be rude and get up, but that doesn't mean you have their attention.
Right.
So get out and do every single like produce festival, farmers market, state fair, anything you can do. I think that is the great testing ground where you really cut your teeth and you learn how to hold and build an audience.
Dr. Deke writing a prescription. He's got a fever. The only cure is more live performance.
Yeah, so everyone here puts their pants on both legs at the same time.
But you know, once the pants are on, you get gold records.
Exactly.
We got to bring this in for a landing, I think. Do we want to just have some quick final thoughts?
Yeah, there's the cart service is going through. This is your last chance to get your cranberry.
Get your ginger ale and cranberry.
What thoughts do you want to leave people with on all of this about live music and touring and everything?
It occurred to me as we were talking about it, that's part of the, whenever I hear music isn't what it used to be. And it's, we're in the internet age, and 100 years are going to look back at this place like we look at the Industrial Revolution, like the internet revolution. We're in the middle of it, sorting it out, figuring out how to get entertainment from us to them, how you're going to consume it. And I think that's always the saving grace I go to. It's when we were talking about the recordings, it's that experience of the live show. Early on in the Impact days, man, people would come see us. We'd have labels come see us and like, man, you guys are incredible. I have no idea what I would do with you on a record, but the live show is amazing. And also tying in the fact that really we figured out ourselves, but our baseline was like, we always want to be Take Six and the House Jacks in the same group.
That is...
we want the drive and the vocal percussion and the like in your face kind of thing, and really cool chords. We always wanted that together as our start. And it was the experience of seeing, again, the 5 and then eventually 6 of us. The experience of that was the thing. And then it was tough to like, now how can we capture this on a completely different art form, which is the recorded thing. So I think the live thing is always going to help the music survive in terms of the AI topics we have now. All of the music isn't what it was, et cetera. I think it's the live experience and the groups able to do that that will keep the thing going and growing.
Amen.
I guess for me, 2 things come to mind. Because we're interviewed all the time, and a lot of times people are like, I guess because we're so old and grizzled in this industry, and it's always brought up, what do you think about the state of music now? It's not that. I'm like, hold on. There is absolutely no shortage of creativity out there. And you can see that with all these young kids, especially online. I'm always blown away by what's going on out there, from the Jacob Colliers to, even kids who are much younger than him, because Jacob's 30 now. He's not even a kid anymore. But you got Justin Schultz. You have all these other kids who are so amazing. So that's one part of it. And I would also say, especially for aspiring musicians, do not stop listening to stuff, because the more you bring in, the more you're going to be able to put out. It doesn't mean that you have to pattern yourself about after anybody that you're listening to, but you're not going to be able to get out of the way of it, of having good stuff come in and being like, man, I can borrow from this, and I like this. I don't like this. Why do they do this? Just keep being inquisitive, because that's how your creativity gets fostered.
Excellent.
For me, don't worry about perfection. Just stop worrying for something to be perfect before you share it. Like, this art is about the journey. It's been said here before. So like, stop worrying about, that's not absolutely perfect, because the thing that feels imperfect to you might resonate with a lot more people, instead of you trying to make it feel perfect or like be perfect, because then it might lose its authenticity by you over editing or over trying to re-record and do all of this. Sometimes the first recording actually had all the feeling you needed it to have to touch somebody's soul. You know what I mean? So like, don't worry about imperfection. Share your gift, share what's in there, like in your body. Once you get it out there, like, cause it really can, that's part of the authenticity that we spoke about earlier.
Amen.
So.
Yeah, and I'm telling people all the time, I say to groups, young, old, amateur, professional, people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for connection. And that connection between the people in the group and between the singers and the audience, that's what's transformative. That's what keeps people coming back. And that's actually something I think a cappella does better than anything else. This is why people during the holidays, this is why every a cappella group makes all their money in December, because during the holidays, people want those warm fuzzies. They want that sense of connection, and nothing does it like vocal harmony. And I want to leave with one little thought that just the three of you talking reminded me of, making the sing off and pitch perfect, these screens, making YouTube videos, whatever. It's incredibly difficult to actually capture great a cappella because there's something that happens in the room that is so powerful and transformative, magical, connecting, like tear inducing. It's just gorgeous and wonderful. And the reason that I've devoted my life to this is about that live experience. And then we spend our whole lives trying to figure out how to capture it on vinyl or, digital dits and bits and all of that and make it work over screens, large and small. But in the end, live music, live a cappella, and those things that happen in the room, that is the best. That is the highest form of what we do. And for anybody who's not leaning into that and focusing much more, I say get out there and experience more of that, because it is through that I think you will find your true talents, the transformative experience, and be able to build that career that makes everything else you do possible.
Here, here.
Well said.
Very well said.
Right on.
Absolutely.
And on that note, y'all, thank you so much for being here. What a great panel. This is a wonderful discussion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So much talent. Such a pleasure to see all three of
This
your
is
faces
a
again.
pretty good group right here we've got.
Yeah,
actually.
right?
Pretty
And we should
strong,
actually
yeah,
put
right?
up. We have low, we have high.
Yeah, we do actually.
Totally. Done. Sold.
Bass drums, T1,
Excellent.
T2, Barry. Great. We're
Excellent.
taking this on the road.
Yeah, Freedom's already got the good dressing room, though. I got to be in the choir room with these other guys.
I got to fly
Great
there.
bring back.
Okay.
Thank you all so much for joining
y'all.
us.